The cop in mirrored aviators reached for my pool fob like a bouncer.
Per HOA direttive.
Hand it over, he said. I smiled, the kind of smile you give someone about to learn an expensive lesson, and slid my keyring into my pocket. I then laid a different rectangle on the table, credentials that made his reflection shrink in those fancy sunglasses. Per federal directive, I said quietly. You're about to stop pretending the HOA is a police precinct. I'm Nolan Price, a quiet homeowner at Pine Hollow Reserve. I keep to myself, but the neighborhood is ruled by Tiffany Crow, HOA president, who wears power suits and has a spreadsheet addiction. She tapes violations to garden gnomes and times how long your garage door stays open. Her personal enforcement arm is her husband, Officer Gary Crow, of the Oak County Police Department. My violations started small: unapproved pool footwear, gray flip-flops, and a seditious pool noodle color, highlighter green, $25 fine. She fined me $200 for parking at a rebellious angle, 3 degrees off parallel. When I appealed, she signed the reply, President, Pine Hollow Reserve, and curiously, Family of Law Enforcement. The message was clear. On a humid Thursday, Tiffany declared a security crackdown. Gary showed up poolside in full uniform, placed a police strobe light on the lifeguard table, and began confiscating fobs. Tiffany appeared, announcing my suspension for insubordination. Gary stepped forward, reaching for my keys. Comply, or be trespassed from the premises, he muttered. This coordinated suburban show of force was a textbook misuse of authority. Unfortunately for them, my day job is considerably more interesting. I'm undercover with a joint FBI Public Corruption Task Force looking into small-time abuses of power. The case found me organically. 6 weeks after I moved in, Tiffany began emailing local vendors, demanding suggested donations to her personal beautification fund in exchange for being added to the approved vendor list. This was classic extortion. The vendor cooperating with our task force forwarded Tiffany's emails. Her beautification fund was a personal checking account that had collected over $40,000 in the past year, enforced by the implicit threat of her cop husband. I let Gary's hand hover above my keys. I then reached into my bag and set my credentials down, badge in a leather case. Federal Task Force letter. Officer Crow, I said calmly. Is this an official police action? If it is, I'll need a case number and the statute I'm violating. If it isn't, then you're using color of law to enforce a private club's tantrum, which is a federal civil rights violation under Title 18, Section 242. The silence was profound. Tiffany's smug smile evaporated. Gary's face cycled through several colors. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. This is Special Agent Price at Pine Hollow Reserve. I need IA and a supervisory agent at the community pool. We have an officer in uniform conducting unlawful seizures under color of law. Within minutes, an unmarked sedan arrived, Internal Affairs. Sergeant Patterson, who had been briefed, walked up. 2 more vehicles arrived, my team members, agents posing as neighbors. Sergeant Patterson pointed at Gary's activated body cam. That camera was on while you were seizing private property for a non-police purpose. This, Officer Crow, is a policy violation at minimum. We held an impromptu meeting in the clubhouse. The nervous HOA board was summoned. I produced copies of emails, Tiffany recommending contractors donate 7% of invoices, the spreadsheet labeled pools and penalties with a friend's rate for reduced fines. The assistant U.S. attorney on speakerphone had the bedside manner of a guillotine. Miss Crow, you were protecting property values from unauthorized flip-flop colors. The board, smelling liability, voted 5-0. Tiffany was suspended immediately. All her unilateral rules were revoked. Gary's security liaison position was terminated. A month later, the outcomes landed. Tiffany Crow was removed from office permanently. Civil penalties, $15,000 in fines and $25,000 in restitution to vendors. She was banned from serving in any HOA leadership role for 10 years. The judge assigned her 120 hours of community service painting lane lines at the public pool in the next town over, the same pool she'd once called the People's Puddle. Gary Crow was decertified. His peace officer license was revoked for misuse of authority. His last official act was returning all confiscated fobs. Tiffany stood in the clubhouse as the final settlement was read. Her face was pale, drained of color. 10 years, she repeated, barely a whisper. All because of flip-flops.